Hello everyone and welcome to another Stargate video. Lord Yu is considered one of the greatest system lords in the Goa'uld Empire, and based on some comments in my Who Should Have Succeeded Ra video, many of you thought he should have been the next Supreme System Lord. It is a genuine argument I can see, as he has all the qualities of a great leader. He was wise and fair, a brilliant tactician, and greatly respected or feared by his peers. These qualities served him well onto becoming one of the oldest system lords. In today's video, I will be going over the top 5 reasons Yu was such a great system lord and why I didn't add him as a possible contender for the next Supreme System Lord. Keep in mind I will be pulling information from the System Lord's RPG rulebook and the new RPG rulebook. For the most part, what they say lines up together, but there are some contradictions, but I will get into that later. Starting off, Yu had a good relationship with Ra, though it might not have started out as so. While Yu lost the war, he was one of the few who warred with Ra and were allowed to keep his dominion. He was so impressed by Yu as a military commander, he wanted him as an advisor and military strategist, and even allowed Yu to grow his dominion larger than other system lords. Yu would go on to actively support Ra, as Ra was able to keep the other system lords in line. Yu's armies would help maintain peace among the other system lords, and as a result, Yu was a frequent and welcomed visitor to Ra's court. The advantage here is that Yu had the support, backing, and protection from the most powerful system lord in the Empire. Not that he really needed the protection, we'll save that for point 2, but being in the good graces of the Supreme System Lord is never a bad thing. Trust is important, as those you trust will be there for you when you need them, and in the Goa'uld Empire, where almost everyone is out for themselves, knowing who you can trust may be the most important thing. The only thing more important to know is who you can't trust, and Yu understood both. He was cautious about who he trusted and made sure those he did trust were loyal to him. He had many adopted human sons who were in charge of his plans when he was not present. As for his biological children, he had them assigned to cultural and political postings and kept them away from military or political positions. And no, I do not know the difference between a political posting versus a political position. The point is that he knew his own Goa'uld children would probably attempt to usurp him if given the chance, so he made sure they would never get that chance, and that those with real power, his adopted human sons whose mothers were rumored to be his concubines, were loyal to him. He had a similar measure for his Jaffa. Most of his high-level officers had personally known Lord Yu since their childhood, and he would handpick them for positions only after checking with his first prime and obtaining his approval. Another measure for his Jaffa was that he only promoted Jaffa beyond the rank of captain if they were from his realm. Take Teal'c's family, for example, who immigrated to Apophis' dominion after his father's death at the hands of Kronos. If they had immigrated to Yu's dominion, Teal'c would never have risen to become first prime. Now, that sounds bad, but this was not done out of a hatred of foreign Jaffa, but to limit the risk that a spy could be sent into his ranks. This, along with the extremely rigid controls that Yu enacted over his military's behavior and context, made it nearly impossible for spies to infiltrate his ranks. In fact, the Tok'ra had been unable to infiltrate his forces, and one agent is believed to even have defected to Yu's army. Again, Yu made sure that those he trusted had power, and those he didn't trust didn't get any power. Many Goa'uld's leadership can generally be described as tyrannical, often abusing their subjects for their own pursuits of power or pleasure. Yu was not like this. Sure, he ruled essentially as a king or dictator, but he was never cruel to his subjects, with Daniel noting that Yu was responsible for various positive influences during his time on Earth. While he certainly had the capability to commit brutal acts, he preferred using bribes and rewards to maintain order in his dominion. One way he would do this was to use technology to influence the production of food by his subjects. Loyal, or at least compliant subjects, would experience record-breaking crops, while problematic and rebellious ones would have food and water shortages. Now, threatening populations with mass starvation and dehydration isn't a good thing, but compared with the alternative of bombing them back to the Stone Age or something like that, this method was a lot more humane, and this method did help ensure the loyalty of a world's population. His Jaffa were given more freedom compared to other system lords' Jaffa. The only caveat to this was that they were expected to achieve more, but honestly that sounds like a fair trade. Something he would do is make it known that such practices were not common among the other system lords. By doing this, he ensured the loyalty and admiration from all his subjects. From miners, farmers, and to his Jaffa, all were loyal and happy to be his subjects, because he treated them fairly and was never unnecessarily cruel like his peers. Oftentimes in the Goa'uld Empire, the biggest factor that determines one's status as system lord is their military might. Yu was definitely a military force to be reckoned with for three main reasons. First is he had a strong military, with over 1 million Jaffa in his army and a fleet of at least 16 attack ships, giving him strong offensive capabilities. Second is that he knew the best offense is a good defense. Worlds in his dominion are connected via a well-planned section of transport corridors and satellites, making them extremely defensible. Third and finally is that he was a great military strategist. Remember, this is what impressed Ra and why he let Yu keep and grow his dominion. Using his superior forces and strategy, he was able to end battles quickly and brutally. And his strategic mind helped him when dealing with larger threats. For example, Kronos, who while having greater military might than Yu, was prone to making foolhardy decisions, which Yu capitalized on to end battles between them in a stalemate. And he knows when someone is too powerful to take on, such as with Ra or the Asgard. While some Goa'uld would foolhardily attack protected planets, Yu saw the Asgard as a threat and refused to underestimate them. These reasons show that Yu's military might was truly great, or grand as described in the new RPG book. He had great offensive and defensive capabilities, and with the military mind to take out his enemies, stalemate them, or avoid those he could not beat. Which leads us into Yu's final and most important advantage. Yu's greatest advantage is that he's reasonable and pragmatic. Unlike about 99% of his race, who are megalomaniacal and obsessed with domination, Yu is not. While most other Goa'uld would haphazardly spend time and resources trying to conquer other system lords or the galaxy, Yu focused on strengthening the territory he already had control over. And this pragmatism stretched out to everything he did. For example, with the bribes and rewards he used to rule his dominion. This wasn't done because it's a nicer way of ruling people than just sending his Jaffa to pacify a population. It was done due to how large his dominion was. It was just more effective to do this to keep order and allow him to conserve time and resources for more important issues. He was also far more reasonable compared to most other Goa'uld. He never fell for his own propaganda and saw himself as a god. He was often willing to negotiate with Earth, and while others might have agreed to an alliance to achieve an immediate goal, only to turn on them when the time was right, Yu more or less kept his word. Twice he assisted them in campaigns against other system lords, though it should be noted his territory existed on the other side of the galaxy. So when Earth destabilized a dominion in the Empire, it tended to be one of Yu's enemies located between the two. The only time he betrayed Earth was due to a mistake he made because, well, we'll get to that. Another example of his pragmatic and reasonable nature was with Teal'c. While most other system lords would kill Teal'c on the spot or try and brainwash him, Yu let him go after a failed assassination attempt, even revealing to him the truth of Kitano's, really Imhotep's, betrayal. While he implied he did this out of some respect for Teal'c, it was more likely the reason he did this was to undermine one of his enemies, especially since one of his ships was on the way to destroy the rebel camp. Again, all of Yu's actions were based on pragmatism and not the selfish desires that many Goa'uld follow. These were the 5 factors I think helped Yu to become one of the greatest system lords in the Empire. But if he was one of the greatest system lords, why didn't I add him as a possible candidate to become the next Supreme System Lord? Well, it was for two reasons. First was that in the System Lord's rulebook, it was said that Kronos had more military might than you. And we know that Kronos was one of the most influential System Lords. Keep in mind, 90% of the information I've said about you comes from the RPG books. Meanwhile, the line about Kronos comes directly from the show, so I consider it to be more prime canon. And Kronos would in no way let you become the next Supreme System Lord. Funny enough, the new RPG book seems to have done a 180 on this, changing Yu's major rival to Baal and increasing Yu's military might. Even Apophis feared Yu and... Wait a minute, so if we consider both books to be canon, that means that Yu was less powerful than Kronos and more powerful than Apophis. But Kronos and Apophis had a major rivalry between the two of them, so they must have been equal in power, so that means you would be less powerful than one and not the other? How does any of that work?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Anyway, moving past the what is canon debate, the second reason I didn't add him to the roster was because of his greatest weakness. He was going senile. Due to his old age, he could no longer take a new host, and the sarcophagus that was meant to heal and prevent him from aging was no longer fully restoring him. Combine this with the adverse effects on one's mind from using that tech, and you could no longer rule his dominion effectively, experiencing mood swings and short-term memory loss. And, fun fact, in the new RPG book, they say Yu was a strong contender as the next Supreme System Lord, but it was this weakness that prevented him from doing so. But what do you all think? Do you think Yu should have become the next Supreme System Lord? Or was it too late for him? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, leave a like and subscribe, and remember,